And then I think Jenna from our side maybe is planning to join, but Evan could confirm that.
Okay.
Hey, this is Greg Miller. I'm with the Envision side. I just joined too, so I think John Everett from Envision is different also.
Yeah, I'm on the call. Good morning, everybody. Can anybody hear me?
Hey, John, if that's you, we're getting a lot of feedback from you.
Well, that's not good, is it?
All right, well, just let me know when we're ready to get started, and we'll jump right into this.
Did we lose John?
I still see he's logged in. Maybe he's trying a different audio option. So while we're waiting for John, why don't you guys give me some names and tell me a little bit about yourself, like your roles over there at Tecton.
Sure, yeah. So this is Cody talking. So we're a hand tool company located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And my role specifically is Chief Supply Chain Officer. So I lead our supply chain team. That includes our fulfillment center as well. So the fulfillment center specifically has about 60-ish hourly employees, and that number is increasing quickly. Right now, we're trying to add maybe another 5 to 10 employees in the next 3 to 4 months. And we recently started a second shift, and so our scheduling has become a lot more complex. And along with all that hiring and new shifts, we've also added a lot more part-time employees. And so they're trying to pair up the demand for how many hours we need each day and on each shift, and making sure every specific role is filled has become just a lot more complex, like I said. And so that's why we're reaching out to you guys and to a lot of other options too for scheduling software to figure out how do we make sense of all that? How do we meet our needs every day? I'll let Evan kind of introduce himself too.
Perfect. Yeah, my name's Evan. Oh, sorry. I realized I was muted for the first half of that. So I'm Evan. I'm the fulfillment center manager. So right now I'm really the person utilizing what we have for a scheduling software, finding issues with it. It's not as flexible as we'd like it to be. So as right now, things are pretty manual with how I create schedules. It doesn't allow a lot of flexibility for the system to actually schedule people automatically. So like Cody said, we're really looking for something that kind of can adapt with us growing, be scalable, and really help kind of take my hands out of having to do a lot of the scheduling change stuff every single day. So.
Okay. So do you spend quite a bit of time creating schedules, managing, altering?
Yeah, exactly. A big part of it is our part-time force, workforce. So for full-timers, it's pretty easy just to set a weekly schedule for them. We have a system that tells us if they clocked in late, punched out early, something like that. But with the part-timers, it gets a lot more hectic when, they can work specific days and then call me, 2 hours beforehand and need to change a shift, those kind of things. What we're looking for ideally is something that will allow us to, really fit their availability into the schedule where we need to fill, if that makes sense. So we'll look at our need for a given day. We'll look at who can work that day and how many hours we have available to grab from, and hopefully a system that can really fill in those gaps for us.
Okay, understood. So you mentioned that you've got one shift now for the full-time employees, but you're looking to add a second shift. Did I understand that correctly?
No, so we actually have 2 shifts running right now, both having full-time employees on them, and then the part-time employees are able to kind of grab hours as needed to fit around their college schedules and those kind of things.
Okay. Around. And then as far as the shifts, does it, do you guys have specific departments? Does everyone work in the same department? Do they need to have specific qualifications or abilities, or can everybody work on the same shifts, so to speak?
Yeah, good question. For the most part, we have two kind of separate departments within the FC. We have the assembly area and then the distribution area. So assembly, the assembly specialists are going to be building things throughout the day, and then distribution is more of the fulfilling sales orders, picking, packing, and shipping, those kind of things. So to answer your question, we have some cross training that goes on where someone might learn some more responsibilities, and it would be great. We've seen in some other schedule management systems the ability to add the skills that they have and kind of check those boxes off. So we definitely do have specific skills that people are able to do, and then ones that, as coming in as an entry employee, really just kind of the basic skills for that given department.
Okay. So it's just a skill set. There's no certifications that we need to track?
No, not any like actual certifications, but we have, seen, like I said, in some other software, maybe the ability for us to kind of say, like, you've been trained on X, Y, and Z. Now you should have those skills, we can utilize those within the scheduling software.
Okay, absolutely. We can accommodate that. Let's see here. So as far as how often you're creating schedules, you said you're doing that each week. So you're creating a schedule a week in advance, or do you try to schedule out longer if possible?
Typically, we just do a week in advance. It's really how I've just been doing it. It really accommodates for me to be able to go in and kind of clear out any. The way our system works right now is someone requests for PTO. It will give them PTO hours on that day. But if I go in and generate a schedule, it will kind of overwrite that in a sense. So I typically just go by the week, like the Friday before the week, the next week. I will generate our schedules and then try to go in and delete out any, like duplicates or, things where there's PTO and a shift happening. I'll just clean that up as much as possible.
Okay.
We do have the ability to go out further, but it gets a little bit messy sometimes if I go out too far, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So as far as a repeating schedule or more of a static schedule, you don't have any of that going on. It sounds like it's pretty dynamic. It changes each and every day for each employee.
Definitely for our part-timers, it's a little more, it changes quite a bit more. With our full-timers, they're either on first shift or second shift, and I can just schedule those out as is, pretty much as long out as I need to. So.
Okay, full-time. And what, just out of curiosity, what are your shift hours and lengths?
Yeah, right now we're running a shift our first shift is from 6 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon. And then our second shift is from 2 in the afternoon until 11:30 at night.
11:30. Okay. And do you schedule lunches or breaks into those shifts, or?
Yes. So our breaks are paid. We don't actually track that within the scheduling at all. But then our lunch breaks are unpaid, and they're always a half an hour.
Okay, lunches are unpaid. And are they punching in and out for those lunches? It sounds like yes.
Yeah. The system we have set up right now, it's like a begin meal selection, and it actually does clock them out, and then ending their meal will clock them back in.
Okay. We've got similar features as well. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about the timekeeping side. It sounds like you've got some challenges with the scheduling, but based off of what you've told me, we will be able to accommodate all that you need, no problem, and give you a lot of flexibility, both on the employee side, but also on the management side, being able to create schedules on the fly, quickly make edits, find replacements if someone were to call in last moment, track abilities, even certifications in there, create templates so you can drag and drop those. You can create specific templates on each and every day. So if you had a custom shift that you needed to squeeze in there, or for example, do you guys ever see any rush times throughout the year where you may need additional help, where you need more staff, in the fulfillment center? Do you ever experience any of that?
Yeah, definitely. We've talked to some other like companies like like Cody mentioned, and there's been the option to kind of send out some sort of ping that will say, hey, we have some hours available up for grabs right now. That's definitely something we'd be interested in as well, if that's kind of where you're headed with that.
Yeah, so essentially on the employee side, you've got the ability to open up features where if you just want to have employees have visibility only, so they can log into their portal through a web browser, a tablet computer, or their mobile app, they can simply just look at their schedule and they can view it as far out as you've published it. That would be visibility rights only. If you wanted to give them a little bit more ability, you can turn on features that will allow them to do several things. One is, you mentioned schedule preferences. So with your part-timers, right? They can go in there and set preferences that has to be approved by management, but it'll say, here's Monday through Friday, here's the available times that I prefer to work, here is what I really don't care, and then here is what I cannot work because it conflicts with my calendar as far as going to school goes. Mm-hmm. So they can set those preferences, but at any time, management can override those when creating a schedule. So if I go to schedule a shift on a part-time employee that they've blocked out as a conflict, an alert will pop up and say, hey, Johnny says that this alert or that this conflicts with, his calendar. Do you wish to override? You simply say yes, and you can plug him into that shift either way. So that's one option. The second option is to give them the ability to either pick up shifts. So in the system, we're going to tell it who, what, when, where, why, and how. So who the employee is, where they're qualified to work, when they're qualified to work, if there's specific shifts or specific hours, and then we can push out open shifts that will populate to the appropriate employee, and they will show up in their portal. So if they meet the criteria, they're not going to hit overtime, and they've got the abilities or skill set, they can pick up those shifts. Anytime a shift is picked up, a manager is notified in their portal. They'll be sent an email, and they'll be sent a push notification if they're using the mobile device to let them know, hey, Johnny just picked up this shift. They can quickly review it and approve it, and it will populate on the calendar. Same idea with that. Does that sound like it would work for you guys, something like that?
Yeah, it definitely sounds very beneficial.
Perfect. So on top of being able to pick up shifts, you can also swap shifts. And that just gives the ability to the employee to go in there and see within his own department what days he is working and scheduled and what days his colleagues are scheduled and working. And if I want to request to swap a shift with an employee, I can create that request and I push it out to my manager. And again, they're notified in their portal with an email and a push notification on their mobile device that Johnny wants to trade his shift with Billy. The manager will review it, and they're either going to decline it and nothing happens, or they're going to approve it and it's going to update automatically on the calendar. Okay. And then lastly, they can do the same thing with dropping shifts. So they can request to drop a shift, but it has to go through the same series of approval. So I can't just go in there and say, you know what, it's Friday afternoon, I don't feel like working, I'm going to drop this shift and just drop it. It has to be approved by a manager, otherwise I'm still responsible for that shift. So if it gets declined, I'm still required and expected to show up to work and work that shift. If it gets approved, whatever your process is to find a replacement, we've got quick tools to help managers be able to quickly identify, again, what department it is, how many hours need to be worked, and we can quickly pull up a list of individuals that will show us, hey, here's the qualified employees that are available to work. Here's who won't hit any overtime. And here is even a proximity. So here is the employees that are closest to the facility. And if there's 10 of them, I can bulk select all 10 and quickly email and text them and say, hey, I've got an open shift on this day. Who wants it? And then employees can request to pick up that shift. So we can give a lot of tools back to the employees that allow them to engage and stay on top of their schedules, right? Which is very helpful for you because it's going to help you not spend too much time not only creating the schedules, but if you need to make a change on the fly, you've got the tools to quickly be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So I think I've got what I need for the scheduling. So tell me a little bit more about your timekeeping needs. Is it just a simple punch in, punch out each day? Or do we need to track, again, departments, or do we need to track jobs, specific hours allocated to different jobs or departments, anything like that?
Right now we have just a few terminals within our, in our warehouse that our employees will go to. They'll clock in, clock out. They can request PTO from that same portal. I don't think it's 100% necessary that we would have them, like it tracking the specific hours where they worked, within a department or something like that. But I think I know. Do you guys have a mobile app or something like that to clock in and clock out?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we've got three mechanisms. We've got hardware, so physical clocks you can purchase. You can hang them on the wall. You can rest them on a table, and you've got biometric fingerprint options for a little bit a more secure setting, right? To eliminate buddy punching, friends clocking in their friends if they're running behind. You've got clocks where you can do just a standard pin entry, or you've got clocks where you've got proximity badges. You've also got a web-based clock. So that's just a browser. So you can utilize that on a computer or a tablet. And that's just a website that you bookmark, they go to. Each employee has login credentials and they can quickly access a web clock. And then the last is the mobile app. So as long as they've got a smartphone, a Droid or an Apple device, they go to their app store, they download TimeWorks Plus Employee, and that will allow them to share the same login credentials as the browser-based clock. They can log in one time and remain logged in, which I really like. I've been logged into my mobile app for like the last year, so it won't kick you out, so you have to log in each time, which is a huge time saver. The difference is the mobile app, you can enable what we call mobile location management. And we work with Google, and it allows us to geo-track their location when they punch the clock. So each time I clock in or I clock out or I clock in and out for lunch, Google will pinpoint my location on a map. If you want to take that a little bit further, you can introduce a real-time notification system with geofencing. So geofencing will work in conjunction with the geotagging, except I'm able to take your warehouse and put an imaginary fence around that warehouse. It can be as small as 300 feet in any direction from that building, or it can be 1 mile. And if employees travel outside that parameter, we are going to flag the punch so it's quick to identify when managers are reviewing time cards. But we can also set up a real-time email alert to be sent to their manager if they travel outside that area. So we call that geofencing.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, really, I don't think we'll have a ton of issues with, buddy punches and those kind of things. Really what we have right now at our terminals is that IP address that is just up for our time clock. And then I think the really important thing, it sounds like we could do something similar there. And I think the really important thing is that any, punch data, anything related to their clocking in, clocking out, lunches, that could be kind of exportable to our current payroll system that we have set up right now.
Absolutely. So we've got John on the line with Envision, and I think we had one of his colleagues too.
Greg, Greg's our sales guy.
Greg, okay. So I show here that you guys are utilizing the Apex platform. Is that correct?
We are, yes.
Okay. So with Apex, we can communicate and to download and retrieve any punch data, even narrow your or filter your results. So if you wanted to look for a specific department or a specific time frame, or just run a report for your part-time employees versus your full-time, all very easily done. There's a number of different reports in there. And essentially we can download any report to a CSV file format. You can also download some of them to like a PDF format if you wanted an individual time card. Some clients, they like to print them off. They'll put acknowledgments at the bottom, have their employees sign it. That's an option. But any report that you run, we will be able to plug into payroll using a specialized format. So it'll be quick and easy.
Nate, just a quick interruption. Just so you know, these guys aren't going to be using our payroll system. This is going to be a standalone product.
Oh, okay. Good to know. So Evan and Cody, can you guys tell me what payroll platform you utilize, and is it in-house?
So yeah, we use Fidelity Investments. That is the payroll that we use throughout all of Tecton. We have, both salaried and hourly employees, the front office, employees. There's kind of two different sections to our building. And we're all on that Fidelity Investments payroll. So they just have their kind of own little punch clock system that we use, and scheduling. It's just not very flexible for the actual scheduling part. So that's why we're really looking for something that we can, use for the scheduling, for the time clock, and then, that it could be exported. Any data could be exported, maybe even like CSV. We can import CSVs into Fidelity that way for payroll. But it's just important that we can get the data we need out of that punch clock system.
Absolutely. And to be 100% honest, I did not know that Fidelity offered payroll and timekeeping services. I thought they were an investment firm. So that's probably why you guys have outgrown, that system. It's not their forte. Where Swipeclock, it's our bread and butter, right? Mm-hmm. We've been around since the 1999, so the early 2000s. We were one of the first companies to pioneer digital-based timekeeping. So our owner, way back when, you guys familiar with those old credit card processing, the swipe ones? He took that thing apart and wrote code so that it would track time if you swiped a card, and then it would push all that information to the online portal. So that's how we came to fruition, right? But with 20 plus years experience in the industry, our system just works, right? It's tried and true, it's a workhorse, but it's scalable. So listening to what you guys need now, and with hearing that you're looking to grow, this system will future-proof your timekeeping and scheduling needs for the next 10 years. No problem. And we're constantly updating and rolling out new features. So if you guys needed more than just timekeeping and scheduling, so you mentioned that you're looking to hire new people. If you need help recruiting, so getting those job postings out to Indeed or Monster or industry-specific job boards to find those qualified employees with the skill set, we've got a platform that can tie into timekeeping. And once you find those employees, how do you quickly onboard them, right? How do we send them the paperwork to fill out? Do you want them to come into the office? Or would you prefer to have all of your new hire paperwork, tax information, policies and procedures, company handbooks, ready for review that we can put together in an email, a secure email, and send it to them? and they can pull out their mobile phone and complete all that paperwork and then send it back to your HR team for review, right? And then managing not only their timekeeping and their scheduling, but what about all their HR documentation? So in our mobile app, it's just another feature that we turn on. So right now they can clock in and out, they can check their schedules, but what if they could view their check stubs, you know, their tax information, their W-2s at the end of each year, if they needed to update direct deposit information, right? Items typically reserved for HR, I've got to send an email, I've got to walk into their office, I've got to take time away from their day to access paperwork. We could set up this system so that it's all retrievable through their mobile phone or an online portal, right? And then if you guys needed to do performance reviews, we can do that. Benefits management and tracking, we've got that capability. So this system will be able to future-proof all of your needs if you need to add those down the line. Right now, you just need timekeeping and scheduling. Awesome, we've got your bases covered. In 6 months, if you need help, like I said, recruiting and onboarding and then tracking the employee throughout the life cycle within your company, we've got you covered.
Yeah, that all sounds great. You know, like you said, I think for the time being, our focus is on that scheduling. I think what we've seen from some other software companies is more of, you know, we've seen some live demos via, you know, video, and then just some pricing type stuff. So I think that would probably be a healthy next step for us. Just, you know, I don't know if you have any ideas of, you know, maybe when we could see a demo, see like how the, you know, how the interface looks, all of that kind of stuff, and head that direction. I think a lot of the ones that we've previously seen, we've done demos with, and it seems like a lot of them have similar options. But I'd love to see how yours might be able to stand out, you know, from there. So
absolutely, and that's what we'll do right now. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so I like to start on the employee side, show you the timekeeping, show you the mobile app, their portal, give you a good idea of how employees will use the system, what their experience will be, and then we'll take a look at the management side, right? How timekeeping will work, how you'll edit time cards, retrieve data, run reports, and then ultimately we'll take a look at the scheduling system and what it looks like, the interface, how we set up the employees, all that good stuff. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
All right, so first and foremost, when you say that you have, you didn't say kiosk for the timekeeping. What word did you use?
I just said terminals. They're basically just
terminal.
desktop computers.
Okay,
Yep.
Just desktop computers. Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. I wasn't sure if they were actual time clocks or if it was just a computer. So if we wanted to keep that experience universal right now, we could look at physical hardware if you wanted to, or we could keep it the same and we would go to the desktop version. So this is just a website that we bookmark. We can restrict it by IP address so that it's only accessible on those few computers that you have. Each employee is provided login credentials, and if they quickly just want to access a clock and clock in or out, they hit web clock, and it's going to pull up the option for them to make their selection. Okay. Now the clock is intelligent, so it's going to recognize when employees are clocked in, so we can't get missed punches. We can turn on the break and the meal tracking, so we can track those more closely, even put rules in place that say, hey, you are not being paid or you are being paid for 30 minutes. Once you hit that lunch button, the system will know from this moment, you need to take 30 minutes of lunch. If you come back in 25, we're going to prevent you from clocking back in. You have to take a full 30 minutes. So we can put in restrictions like that for lunches and breaks. Okay. Now down the road, should you ever need to track departments, you'll notice that it keeps logging me out. So that's a security feature. I can't clock in and walk away and the clock will stay up. So after about 25 seconds, it'll time out. Okay. So if you ever did need to track departments or jobs down the road, we can design clock prompts. And those are just custom questions with provided drop-down menus for employees to say, okay, today I'm working at this location, I'm working in this department, and we can track that for management. And if pay rates change or if we need to allocate time, this is how we would track all that. Okay, so not important today, but maybe down the road. Okay. The second option employees have is the ability to access their portal. Now, when they are away from the office and they access their portal, the web clock is disabled. So they have to be at that specific terminal in order to clock in and out. If they're at home, if they're at the Starbucks grabbing a coffee, the clock will be visible, but it won't engage. But what this portal is designed for is to give employees visibility and abilities to interact. So we've got a message center that we can push them messages. Up at the top here, we've got different links. The first link is our time card. So this gives visibility back to the employee to keep track of their own hours and address mistakes if they forget to clock in or out. So over on the left, we can turn on actions rights. The most common is the ability to send notes through the system to management. I clocked out, I forgot, I left early, whatever, send me a note so management can see, and that way they don't have to track you down, waste time. Should you ever want to give employees the ability to edit their time cards, typically reserved for management, you can open up that option as well. And that just allows employees to manually enter in their time, or if they see a mistake, like what you see right here, the strikeout, to go in there and fix it themselves. Otherwise, we turn that feature off, and if they make a mistake, they have to address management to fix that and make it right on their time card. Okay. So this is going to track hours each day. We're going to separate out your pay periods and your work weeks so we can see individually how much hours they've worked in a week. And then we're also going to do the same thing with overtime. So we're going to automate that. We're going to create rules in the system custom for you guys so that we track overtime correctly. And then we tell the system what to do with that overtime. Does it roll over into time and a half, into double time, or does it roll over into, say, like a comp time bucket where we don't pay them out, but they are able to use those additional hours worked as paid time off? So all sorts of different options we can do. Everything will be totaled out down at the bottom for the employee. And it'll separate out any overtime if they hit any, if they took any vacation or sick time, if you guys pay holidays. Again, all of that is custom to you. So this is not an off-the-shelf system. And then lastly, in the top right-hand corner, you've got the approval process. So if you want to put a signature option, so to speak, employees can come in here, review their time cards at the end of each pay period, and put their digital signature on it. And we can have 3 layers of approvals. You've got the employee layer, you've got a direct supervisor layer, and then you've got management or HR. Okay, but it's not mandatory. So if any one person in that 3-layered approval process forgets, no problem. You can still run the reports and prepare the time data for payroll. It just leaves that door open for, discrepancies to pop up. Any questions, guys?
No, I think that looks pretty good.
Pretty straightforward, real simple. Okay, so the second tab here is going to be the schedule. And this is, again, however you want to turn it on for the employee. So if it's visibility only, I can only come in here and review the shift that I'm working and the department. I can click on it and look at the details. So you guys can schedule in lunches if you need to. You can put in project numbers. You can put in notes or tasks that they need to complete. So you can customize that shift and tailor it to that specific individual if you need to. If you turn on the interaction rights, you'll notice down here at the very bottom, I can drop the shift. So once I drop the shift, it'll ask me, are you sure? Once I hit confirm, it's going to notify my manager. And the manager either has to approve or deny that drop shift request. But either way, I am still responsible for that shift until management approves that I drop that. Okay. You've also got your open shifts right here. So as you can see, no open shifts have been pushed to this employee. There just aren't any available. But if I had any open shifts, I could push them out. And again, if the employee is qualified, they're not going to hit any overtime, and they have the ability to work, they can pick up those shifts. Okay. If they want to get a more detailed view, they can actually click into the employee side of time simplicity. And this is just a rubber room. So it's going to give them more visibility to a published schedule. So if you happen to start publishing a week, 6 weeks, a year in advance, they'll be able to see that. But then they've also got the ability to drop shifts and pick up shifts in here as well. If we look at their features, this is where we can come in and look at their preferences. So I can come in here and say, here's the days that I prefer to work. Here's what I dislike. And here's what I can't work. And then I save that request, and it's automatically sent to my management team, and the manager has to approve those preferences. And then when you're creating schedules, if you happen to create a Friday night shift or a Saturday shift that interferes with their cannot work, an alert will pop up, but you can override that alert and still schedule that employee on that specific day and time. So this is more of a guideline. And management can change these preferences if they want to. So they don't have to be set and only modified by the employee. Okay. Employees can also go to their settings menu here, and they can decide on how to be notified and on what. So each time a schedule is published, send me an email or a text or both. If management goes in there and changes my individual schedule, let me know, notify me. If an open shift becomes available that I'm qualified for, let me know so I can go in there and pick it up as soon as possible. And then you can also set up this forgot to clock in, which is awesome. So that would say, hey, your shift started at 8. As of 8:10, if you haven't punched in, the system will recognize that, and it will not only alert you with an email or a text, it'll also alert your manager. So that way, if it is a no call, no show, a manager after 10 minutes is going to quickly be able to see that no punch has been made, and they can quickly find a replacement. Pull up a list of 5 or 10 employees that are qualified, that won't hit overtime, and bulk text them and let them know, hey, I've got a shift right now. Who can be here the soonest?
Yeah, that makes sense. You've mentioned a couple times, that won't hit overtime. Is that something we could kind of remove from, being a qualification, just because we oftentimes have good overtime running most of the time? So.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's just a rule. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you just want them to accumulate hours, and if they run into overtime, absolutely, we'll just track that overtime.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, good question. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like, oh, they can't work overtime. Not at all. It's just a rule.
Yep, I figured. Just wanted to clarify.
No, good question. Okay, so let's go through this. We got about 20 minutes left. So let me go to, any questions on the employee scheduling, their portal, what they're able to do on the scheduling side?
I don't think so. Cody, do you have anything?
No, I don't think so. Not on this side where they're setting their preferences and things. Nope, that seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's real simple. Super, super simple. Okay, so if I go back into their portal, the last link that they'll have is their time off. So this is 100% custom, and this is just an example here, guys. So I've created these buckets and I've labeled them. You can create 1 bucket, 2 buckets, 5 buckets, and label them whatever you'd like. And each bucket can have a different policy. So for example, the sick bucket, I just may give everybody, 32 hours right out the gate, and they have to use it throughout the year. And then what do we tell the system to do once they hit 0? Can they go into the negative? Can they earn it back? Can they roll over time at the end of the year? Or are we simply running a report and paying them out? Right? So that would be like a lump sum. On the flip side, you've got vacation or personal or PTO where they actually accrue it. So rules may come into play with specific criteria, right? Full-time employees versus part-time. You have to work X amount of hours each pay period, and you have to meet this specific criteria, and then we're gonna add or reward you with 1.5 hours of PTO every pay period or each month, right? So it's going to accrue up, and this total will adjust every pay period as I earn. Then when I request time off here, and I select a day or multiple days, I can pull those hours from a specific bucket. And then the notification works the same way. So as soon as I plug in a comment and I request time off, my manager will be sent a push notification if they're using the mobile phone, or they'll be sent an email, and there will be an alert in their manager's portal as well. Okay, and then everything will populate automatically across the board. So you may have noticed on the time card here, it'll populate the hours with the vacation day. And you may have noticed the same thing on the calendar for the schedule. So it'll also populate on the schedule so managers can see, okay, this employee has these days off, and those are already on the schedule. Okay. So that's the employee side, guys. It's super simple. They've got the ability to do it through a computer or tablet, but everything we've looked at is also available on a mobile phone. It'll share the same login credentials. They can log in one time and remain logged in. And then if they are using the phone to clock in and out, that'll be their dashboard. If we turn that feature off, everyone can still download the phone and they'll have a time card view. So they can keep track of their hours, approve time cards, send notes to management. They've got all the same abilities with their schedule, check it, add shifts, drop shifts, and then they've got their time off in here as well. Okay, any questions, guys?
Oh, that looks pretty straightforward.
Okay, so now let me dive over into the manager's portal for the timekeeping. And this is also where you'll launch the Time Simplicity scheduling program. So you just have to access one system and you can move back and forth between the two. So it doesn't matter what mechanism employees are using to clock in and out, all their hours are going to pool together in this portal. On the left is your navigation. So you've got your main menu, your time cards, a maintenance, a reports, and a settings menu. Now, most of your time will be spent in the time card section. And that's simply just logging in here, reviewing the hours and the time cards once a week, once a day, whatever your process is, right? You'll spend some time in the employee setup, but we will handle this for you. But this is where we can come in and really get granular and tell the system who the employees are, give them departments, give them supervisors, and even plug in shift information. Yeah, so we'll use all these data fields down here to set that up, because whatever we put in here is going to push over into the time key or into the scheduling program. Okay, so this is how we set passwords, how we decide which clock they want to use, and it's all at the employee level. So you can turn on the mobile app for 5 and everyone else is using the web clock. Okay. On the left, you'll spend some time in the time off requests, but again, you can also do this through your mobile phone. So those will all populate in here, and you get a little reference calendar, so you can see which employees have which days off, so you don't short staff yourself on any given day or weekend. And then all we do is just expand these boxes, and it gives you the who, the what, the when, the why, to make a quick decision. Right? And then on the far right, you X them out or check them off, approve or decline. But you have the ability to change, right? So if they request vacation, but they don't have enough hours, I could move it over into personal. Or I could modify how many hours they are taking in general. You don't have enough. I need you to work a half a day. So you can change all that here. You can also change it directly on their time card if you need to. Okay, so in the time cards here, again, that's where you'll spend most of your time. And there's a couple different views here. So you can go to like yesterday's entries, and it will show me real-time information, because everything is cloud-based, happens in real time, of when employees are clocking in and out. You can hover over each punch, and it'll give you information. So the IP address of the machine that was used, if it was a mobile phone, right? And a mobile phone, we give you this little icon right here. And I can click that icon, and it will give me details about that punch, right? The time, where they were. You guys will get a physical address, not this longitude and latitude. And you've got a satellite view. And as long as they've got good cell reception or they're connected to a Wi-Fi, this is extremely accurate. Yeah, so that's the tagging. The fencing would allow me to put that fence around this building and then set up a notification if the employee moves outside that fence. And then we can also change the color of the icon to let us know or quickly identify if someone's turned off their GPS. So we still know that they clocked in on the phone, but we don't know where they were. Or if they've moved outside that fence area. So you'll get an email, but that little green icon will turn bright red. Okay, so management can see all the information, and then they've also got the edit capabilities. So if I need to edit someone's time card, fix an in or an out, fix a category, so change it from a sick day or a personal day, I can do all of that. And then everything from up at the top here, these columns, these headers, everything from location over is all custom. So if you guys needed to add bonuses, commissions, piece rates into the system, just let us know and we can track that for you. Okay, finally is the reports. So on the left again, if I just expand my reports menu, these are all stock reports. But don't be alarmed, they're all extremely simple and you can't hurt anything. It just, what do I want to see? Do I want to see daily? Do I want to see labor reports, hours allocation? Or if I just want to run a simple summary report to summarize a pay period, I just select the pay period. I don't have to select anything else. I just hit submit and it will throw all of my employees into a summarized report that I can quickly save into a CSV and get that over into payroll. And then you've got all sorts of filter options. So if you want to filter type of employee or department, you can do that very easily. Any questions, guys?
And are you able to create your own custom reports if need be?
Yes, you can, to a certain extent.
Okay.
Yes. So what the custom report allows me to do is say, I want to take information from the pay period summary, the detailed report, and the punch notes report and combine them. So yes, we can unlock the ability for you to manage and create some custom reports, but to a certain extent. So if you need something a bit more custom that's not in here, it's kind of rare because of the reporting capabilities that come standard. We can design custom reports. Typically, there's a small one-time fee, but once we design it one time, you name it whatever you want, and it shows up in your list here, and you can run it over and over and over again.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we've got about 10 minutes left, so let me jump into time simplicity. So on the top here under main menu, when I want to go into the scheduling program, I'm going to hit scheduling, and you've got options here. So if I wanted to run some reports and I wanted to run it against the time cards, so here's what was scheduled, but here's what actually happened looking at their time card, right? We've got some reports here that you can do some comparisons. Or I can launch time simplicity and it will throw me into the portal here. Okay, so this main dashboard is just going to give you basically in a big alert center. So what shifts I've got throughout the week, what's open, what's assigned, what's unassigned. Through the center here, just different notifications for schedule change requests, adding shifts, dropping shifts, alerts and warnings. So if you do put certifications in here and one's about to expire, we can take a look at that and send out an alert to the employee. So just a big notification center here. So what we do is we will first classify all the employees. So we'll put in contact information so we can text and email them. We can put in a street address for proximity, so who can get here the fastest. We can put in a minimum hours per week, a max hours per week, max number of shifts, and put a stop to here's how long of a shift that employee can work. 4 hours, that's it. We can put in different rules. So manager rules for specific templates, minor rules, certification rules. We can also create specific templates for that employee or templates for the specific department. So I can drag and drop my shift templates just to the available and appropriate day and person. Okay? And then we assign work groups. So here's the departments that the employees can work in. And if it's one department, great. If it's 3 or 4 departments, totally fine. They can work in multiple departments if they need to. So once we get everything set up, then we can go to the actual scheduler. And it's going to give you a blanket coverage view, and it's going to separate out your departments, your full-time versus your part-time employees. If you want different layers of access as far as visibility for management, they can see just a specific department and create schedules for just that group of employees. Okay, and you've got a few options here. So I can click on any given day and quickly create a shift. I can name it whatever I want. I can add projects. I can add notes. I can even change the color. So everything is color coordinated in here. So if you've got a specialized shift or extra or additional shifts, turn them red or turn them yellow. So it's not a standard shift. Once I create those shifts, I can copy and paste and just copy and paste that shift day over day over day if I need to. I've also got the pinning feature. So you'll notice this little pin right here. So for the employees that have more of a static schedule, I can say this is an 8 to 5 shift and I'm going to pin that down. So it'll just stay repeating unless I go in there and unpin it or if I change it. Okay. You've also got the ability to do like an automatic shift. Oops, wrong button, right here. So up in the right-hand corner, we can do an automatically assign open shifts. So the system will start to learn patterns. And based off of shift lengths and employees and days and times, I can go in here and tell it to just standard based off of the patterns that you've seen, go in there and auto-populate shifts for me on the fly. I can then go back over and modify the shifts, change the shifts, or remove the shifts. I can even do split shifts if I need to, right? I can just right click on the day and I get all sorts of different features, right? Move to an open shift. That'll throw it up here in the top as an open shift. If I've got templates built, I can design hundreds of templates or 5 templates, and the templates will just represent different shifts of time. And then from there, I can just drag and drop those shifts to the available person, right? And then I will get errors. So if we do put overtime rules in place, we'll be alerted. If it's a scheduling preference that conflicts with time, we'll be alerted. Okay, so this system is super simple to create the shifts, find shifts on the fly. Let's see if this will work. So if I right click on any given day, so if I get a no call or a no show, I've got this who can work this option. And it will pull up a list of all the available employees that meet the criteria, that can work it, and I can bulk select all of them and manually text them or have the system just text them. Okay, I've got all mine covered here, so that's why I don't see a list of employees, but just the tools and resources that you'll have available, yes, this system would be a very good fit for what you guys are looking for, both creating schedules, being able to manage it, make edits and changes on the fly, but also stay engaged with employees.
Really quick, so the open shift button that you had, that allows you to generate shifts, you're saying, pretty quickly. So
Absolutely.
that yeah. And then would there be an option, or is there a quick way to just kind of auto assign people that fall within that availability to those shifts?
Yes. So that's what this is doing, right? It's automatically assigning those shifts to the available and the appropriate employees. But it just follows a pattern, right? So it's not going to be perfect. I wouldn't rely on it 100%. It's more of a guideline. Like, hey, I've got all these open shifts. I don't want to sit here and drag and drop them or create them for all 50 or 60 people. Just days to fill. If I just want to do it a week at a time, go ahead and based off of all of my open shifts for the week, just go ahead and allocate those and assign them out accordingly to the correct employees. And it's going to review the rules that we've created. It's going to review the full-time, part-time rules that we've created. So that way it's not going to throw a full-time shift to a part-time employee, right? It just won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a useful tool that a lot of our clients use that have 20, 30, 50 plus employees. They'll just set this automatically assigned to go out, and then they'll come back over and make any minute details. Change shifts, split shifts, remove shifts.
And then at some point you're able to, it looks like you can, at some point you're able to publish this, like once it's set and ready to go, right?
Absolutely, yes. So up in the right-hand corner, I've already published this schedule. But yeah, I can publish it, you know, a week at a time or weeks in advance. And once I publish that, everybody on the schedule is going to be notified based off of their preferences. So each time I publish this, I get a text and I get a push notification. I turned off the email because I didn't need all three.
Yeah.
But if I were to come in here and remove this shift, I would get a push notification to say, hey, your schedule was modified on this day. Just be aware of that. But it'll also change on the fly on the calendar. So if they log into their portal, that shift is now removed from their days that they're working.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And so, guys, this is a complete white glove service. So this is just a fraction of some of the capabilities that the system has. I know that we're at time right now, but there is so much more that we could talk about on the timekeeping side and on the scheduling side. So this is an intelligent platform designed for organizations just like yours. where you've got some complexities, but nothing too extreme. But I've dealt with clients that have to deal with compliance issues, 4 or 5 shifts each and every day, full-time and part-time with different degrees of all sorts of crazy stuff. But this system is designed to accommodate, hey, you need something simple? We got you. You've got more of the complexities? We've got you covered.
Yeah, it looks like you can, manipulate it how you need to our setup. So that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cody, did you have any last questions?
No, I don't think so. I think that, the next steps are what you already described, Evan, that we kind of need to compare this against the other softwares that we're looking at, see some pricing, and then really take some next steps to maybe dive deeper or, maybe go in another direction. But I think so far this seems like it's got everything we need. It seems pretty intuitive. It seems like it's flexible in the ways we need it to. So really just excited to see what the pricing looks like and kind of how that works. And then we kind of go from there.
It's music to my ears. I like to hear that. So here's what I'll do. I will get with John. So John is our partner, so he'll handle all your pricing. He'll handle all the billing. But in terms of setup and training, we have the white glove service here. So we set up both your timekeeping and your scheduling. We do them independent, so we start with timekeeping, get that all set up, let you use it for a couple weeks. Then we do scheduling, or we can flip-flop that if you want to. Each system will take about 7 to 10 days to get you set up and trained. But we want to make sure that it's a seamless transition, that you guys feel comfortable and confident, and that you're trained before we just release the hounds, so to speak. But we've got ongoing support. Our support team is amazing. So if you guys need help, if we need to change something, you just contact us directly and we do that for you, okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right.
And then Ethan, oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, Greg had to jump off the call. Ethan, he's the one who kind of will go over the pricing and stuff. He is actually at a golf outing with some accountants today. So when is a good time for him to reach out to you in regards to pricing?
Yeah, would that be, I take it that'd be more of like a phone call or a video call again?
Yeah, just be a phone call.
Okay. Really, anytime this that's still.
Uh-oh. We have a really bad connection there.
Yeah, you broke up really bad. You sounded like a robot almost.
Did we lose him? I think we may have lost him
completely.
Was that John that we lost?
No, we lost Evan.
Was it Evan?
It's showing that, it's showing that he's offline. So, Cody,
okay.
I missed your introduction, but you work with Evan, right?
Yep.
So I have Evan's email. I'll just drop him an email and just get with him that way.
Okay, yeah, I can let him know that too. I think the steps are pretty well known at this point. So yeah, that sounds like a great place to go next.
All right.
Yeah, so I'll compile an email. I recorded today's session, so I'll convert that. I'll send you a YouTube link. I'll get with John. We'll prepare you some pricing. We'll get it over to you. And then let us know what next steps are. If you guys want to have another call, that's great. Let me know. We can do that, and we can dive a little bit deeper if we need to. Did you guys have a timeline in mind? Like Q4, Q1 of next year? Just kind of checking things out?
Yeah, it really depends on how quickly we think we can move to it. It'd be great to have it this Q4, but I don't think it's necessarily a requirement for us to have in place until the beginning of next year. We have this year's kind of process and schedule down well enough that we can make it through. But the sooner the better, really.
Okay. Well, we can accommodate you there. You know, we are pretty fast at setting these up. A lot of it is just we understand that you're busy. You guys have other items going on. But if you can carve out time to do the kickoff calls and the trainings, yeah, we can move quick on this for you. So let's start with just the information. And do you guys have my direct email address and my phone number?
I think so. I think it was on the invite to this call, so I think we do.
Okay. Well, if not, I'll send you guys, you know, an email. It's just in my signature. Let me know if you have any other questions or how you guys would like to proceed. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time today. That was a really helpful demonstration, and I think we have all the information we need for now.
Sounds good. You're very welcome. Happy to help, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Enjoy your day, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Talk soon.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.